Tales from the Americas. The Emerald Lizard from Guatemala. This is a tale about the good brother Pedro San Joseph de Bethencourt, who lived 3 centuries ago in the city of Santiago de Guatemala. It is said that this saintly man was walking one morning on the outskirts of the city, deep in his thoughts. For himself, brother Pedro had no problems. He simply wore shabby clothes and sought nothing else. His concerns were for the poor and the sick, and he had established a place on the edge of the city where they could be cared for. Every day, nuns brought baskets of bread to the place to help feed the hungry, yet there was far from enough to go around. There were more poor people than bread, more sick people than beds, and brother Pedro was pondering how more help could be given to those who suffered. As he turned these problems over in his mind, he saw a poor Indian approaching along the road. Leaning wearily on his staff, the Indian came slowly to where brother Pedro was, and greeted him sadly and sorrowfully. "What troubles you, my son?" brother Pedro asked, seeing the man's distress. "Oh, Padre," the Indian said, "I am in great trouble. My name is Juan Manuel Huracan. My wife is sick. She is dying, and I have no money for medicine. My little boys, too, are dying of hunger, and I have nothing for them to eat. I swear to you that is the truth, just as I have said it." Brother Pedro looked at the suffering man's face, and he knew that it was the truth. The bread brought by the nuns that day was already gone, and as for money, there was none left. Brother Pedro absent-mindedly reached into his pockets, feeling for a stray coin which might lie there forgotten, but his pockets were empty, as they usually were. Not a single tiny coin did he find. He turned his eyes upward towards the sky, seeking an answer to this problem. Surely, he thought, on this beautiful day there must be some way of softening the misery of the man who stood there before him. As they stood together at the edge of the road, there was a sound at their feet. From under a clump of blue flowers, a small green lizard scurried out into the sunlight. With a tender smile, brother Pedro reached down and caught the little lizard and gently placed it into the hands of Juan Manuel Huracan. The man looked into brother Pedro's face in wonder. Then he looked at the lizard he had received, and great was his astonishment to see that it was now motionless and lifeless. Still it was green, but it was now the green color of emeralds. And suddenly he saw that the little lizard had truly turned into emerald, and that brother Pedro had wrought a miracle. Juan Manuel Huracan gave tearful thanks to brother Pedro, and he took his emerald lizard to a merchant in the marketplace to exchange it for money for food and medicine. The years passed. Juan Manuel's son grew up and became traders in blankets and shawls. Juan Manuel himself now had many cattle and much land, and yet he lived simply and saved his money, coin by coin, so that he could buy back the emerald lizard which had changed his fortunes. A day came when he went to the merchant in the marketplace and bought back the emerald lizard, and then he set out in search of brother Pedro. When at last he found brother Pedro, he was greatly surprised. Brother Pedro was now old and gray, and his clothes were as ragged and as worn as they used to be. The Indian greeted him, saying, "Greetings to you, Padre. Do you not remember me? I am Juan Manuel Huracan. I am the one to whom you gave the emerald lizards many years ago, and now I have brought it back." Brother Pedro searched in his mind, trying to pull out the incident. "Take it, Padre," Juan Manuel said. "It brought me much good fortune. Take it and rest from your labors now. It is very valuable, and it will make life easy for you." He opened the cloth in which he had the emerald lizard, and he took the jeweled object and held it up for brother Pedro to see. Smiling now, brother Pedro remembered and received it. Gently he set it down on the earth, and instantly it turned again into a live green lizard, which scurried off and disappeared into the deep grass.